Ladies, I want to talk to you today about something that many of us know too well, the feeling of being a woman without friends. It's a title we may carry with us silently, sometimes with shame, other times with loneliness. But here's the truth. This title is not a reflection of your worth. It is, in fact, an invitation to step into something much more profound. You see, we often believe that if we don't have a tribe of friends, something must be wrong with us. We think we should be surrounded by people at all times, that our social circle should be overflowing. But here's the catch. It's not about the number of friends you have, but about the depth of the connections you create. This sets up the speech's main message and tone. Let me know if you need anything else. At the core of every meaningful relationship lies vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to show up as we truly are, without the masks, without the defenses, without the walls that we so often build to protect ourselves. Yet we live in a world that constantly tells us to hide our true selves. We're taught to present a perfect image, polished, composed, and without flaws. In many ways, our culture has turned vulnerability into something to be feared, something to be avoided. But here's the truth. It is only when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable that we can experience true connection with others. When we're alone, without friends, it can feel like we've been left out of the club of human connection. It's easy to assume that the reason we're alone is because something is wrong with us. But the truth is, sometimes it's the walls we put up that keep others at bay. We may fear that if we reveal too much of ourselves, our fears, our insecurities, our imperfections, people will judge us, abandon us, or think less of us. But here's the thing. Without vulnerability, there can be no real connection. Connection only happens when we allow ourselves to be seen for who we truly are, in our messy, imperfect glory. Being vulnerable doesn't mean spilling your soul to every person you meet or sharing your deepest secrets with someone you barely know. Vulnerability is about showing up with all the beauty and all the brokenness and trusting that someone will see you, not just as you want to be seen, but as you are. The act of being vulnerable is an invitation to others to do the same. When we open ourselves up, we give permission to others to let down their guard and share their own stories, their own struggles, their own joys and fears. That is where true connection starts, in the raw, unfiltered moments where we let our guard down, where we dare to be real with each other. It's not always easy. It requires courage to step into the unknown and expose parts of ourselves that we've kept hidden for fear of rejection. But when we take that first step, when we show up in our vulnerability, we send a powerful message that we are worthy of connection just as we are. And when we do this, we begin to create space for others to show up in the same way. Vulnerability is the key to finding friends who see us not the version we think we should be, but the version of ourselves that we've spent so long hiding from the world. This expanded version digs deeper into the concept of vulnerability and how it fosters genuine connection. Let me know if you'd like to adjust anything. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with images of what we should be, it's easy to forget the power of being authentic. From social media influencers to societal expectations, the pressure to fit into certain molds can be overwhelming. We're often told who we should be, how we should look, what we should think, and how we should act to be accepted. But here's the truth. Authenticity is magnetic. It's the key that unlocks real, meaningful connections. And it's the foundation upon which true friendships are built. When we are authentic, we don't just show people our strengths, we show them our vulnerabilities, our quirks, our raw humanity. We stop pretending to be someone we're not, and instead we let ourselves be seen exactly as we are, flaws and all. Being authentic means embracing both the light and the dark sides of ourselves, our passions and our insecurities, our triumphs and our failures. It's about being okay with who we are right now, not who we think we should be in the future. The world doesn't need more versions of someone else's story. It needs your story told in your voice with your unique perspective. However, stepping into authenticity can feel like a risk. It requires us to let go of the armor we've built around ourselves to protect us from judgment, rejection, or disappointment. For many of us, our whole lives have been shaped by the need to meet others' expectations, whether it's from family, friends, or society. We've learned to modify our behavior to keep parts of ourselves hidden so that we are accepted, liked, or loved. But the truth is, when we hide our true selves, we not only rob ourselves of the joy of being fully alive, but we also prevent others from connecting with the real us. If we are only showing up with a carefully curated version of ourselves, we are only inviting superficial connections. And deep, lasting friendships cannot be built on that foundation. Authenticity doesn't mean being perfect or having it all together. It means being real, even when it feels uncomfortable. It's about embracing your truth, your imperfections, and your messiness, and owning them with pride. When we start being authentic, we start attracting people who will love us for who we are, not for who we pretend to be. And that's the kind of connection that lasts. When you show up as yourself unapologetically, you'll begin to see that the right people, the ones who appreciate you for who you truly are, will gravitate towards you. You won't have to chase relationships or constantly worry about fitting in. Instead, you will naturally draw in those who are aligned with your true self, those who value you for the real, unfiltered version of who you are. Moreover, authenticity is not just a one-time choice, it's a continual practice. It's about being true to yourself in every moment, even when it feels hard. It's about saying no to things that don't serve your values and yes to the things that make you feel alive and whole. It's about letting go of the need for external validation and finding strength in your own sense of self-worth. True friendship is only possible when we give others the gift of seeing us for who we truly are, and that means showing up fully as our authentic selves every single day. This expanded version dives deep into the importance of authenticity, the challenges it presents, and the rewards it brings. Let me know if you'd like further adjustments. The power of self-love. Self-love is often misunderstood in a world that teaches us to find our worth through external validation, whether it's through the approval of others, our achievements, or our appearances. It can feel counterintuitive to focus on loving ourselves first. But self-love is not an act of narcissism. It is a radical act of self-compassion, an acknowledgement of our inherent worthiness, and a deep, unwavering belief that we are enough exactly as we are. When we practice self-love, we are not merely indulging in self-care routines or treating ourselves to the occasional me-time moment. We are honoring the truth that we are worthy of love, respect, and care, regardless of our circumstances or the opinions of others. For many of us, being without friends can trigger feelings of inadequacy, loneliness, and even self-doubt. It's easy to think that if we are alone, it's because something is wrong with us. But the reality is, being without friends can be an invitation to turn inward and build the most important relationship we will ever have, the one with ourselves. When we take the time to nurture our own hearts, to care for our own needs, and to support ourselves through our struggles, we lay the foundation for all other relationships. Because here's the secret. You can never truly experience healthy, fulfilling friendships until you first cultivate healthy, fulfilling relationship with yourself. Self-love is about embracing your flaws, forgiving your past mistakes, and treating yourself with the same compassion that you would show to a close friend. Often we are our own harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for not being enough, not successful enough, not pretty enough, not accomplished enough. We fall into the trap of perfectionism and constantly compare ourselves to others, forgetting that everyone has their own struggles and insecurities. Self-love is the antidote to this negative self-talk. It's about silencing that inner critic and replacing it with a voice of kindness and encouragement. It's about celebrating your uniqueness, understanding that your quirks, imperfections, and differences are what make you special and valuable. And it's about knowing deep in your bones that your worth does not depend on how others perceive you, but on your own self-acceptance and love. Self-love also means setting boundaries, learning to say no to things that drain us, to people who do not respect us, and to situations that do not align with our values. This is not about building walls or shutting people out. It's about creating a safe space where we can thrive. Boundaries are an act of self-respect. They show us that we value ourselves enough to protect our energy, our time, and our peace of mind. When we practice self-love through healthy boundaries, we teach others how to treat us and what we will and will not accept. This in turn leads to more authentic, balanced relationships. This expanded version dives deeper into the importance of self-love, how it builds the foundation for healthier relationships, and how it shapes our ability to be content with ourselves. Let me know if you'd like to adjust anything. Stepping out of our comfort zones is one of the hardest things we can do, yet it is also one of the most rewarding. For many of us, the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, and the fear of being vulnerable hold us back from seeking out the connections we desire. It's easier to stay within the safety of what we know, even if that means staying in isolation, because the unknown feels scarier. But here's the truth: growth and transformation happen in the spaces where we are most uncomfortable. The courage to step out, to take risks, and to open ourselves up to new experiences is what ultimately leads to the kind of deep, fulfilling relationships that we crave. In the context of friendships, this courage is especially important. It's easy to think that we need to wait for others to approach us, to wait for someone to make the first move, to wait until the stars align before we can take a step toward building a new connection. But often we are the ones who need to initiate. This doesn't mean that we should go out and force friendships, but it does mean that we must be willing to put ourselves in situations where we can meet others and take the first step towards meaningful interaction. Whether it's joining a new group, reaching out to someone we admire, or simply being open to new opportunities, the act of stepping out of our familiar routines can lead to unexpected and beautiful connections. The truth is, we often hold ourselves back because of the fear of rejection. We've all experienced the sting of putting ourselves out there and not being received the way we hoped, whether it's an invitation that goes unanswered, a social gathering that feels awkward, or a conversation that falls flat. These moments can feel like personal failures, and they may make us hesitant to try again. But rejection does not define us. Rejection is not a reflection of our worth. It is simply a part of the human experience. Every no we experience brings us one step closer to a yes, and every step into discomfort strengthens our resilience and courage. Another key part of stepping out is acknowledging that rejection is not just about others not accepting us, but about our fear of not accepting ourselves. When we fear rejection, we may be seeking external validation to fill the internal void, hoping that others will confirm what we can't yet fully believe, that we are worthy, lovable, and deserving of connection. But in reality, the only rejection that truly matters is the one we impose on ourselves. If we can learn to embrace the possibility of rejection and not internalize it, we give ourselves the freedom to show up authentically without the constant fear of judgment. Taking risks in building friendships also means stepping into the discomfort of vulnerability. It's not just about meeting new people or trying new things, it's about being open and allowing others to see who we really are. We might be afraid that if we show too much of ourselves, we will be rejected or misunderstood. But vulnerability is not just a risk, it is a tool for creating deeper, more meaningful relationships. The act of showing someone who we truly are, with all of our flaws and struggles, invites them to do the same. And it is in that exchange of raw, unfiltered honesty that real connection is formed. Furthermore, stepping out often requires us to challenge our own limiting beliefs. We may have convinced ourselves that making new friends is too difficult, that we're too old to form new bonds, or that no one will truly understand us. These beliefs are barriers that we have built, often without even realizing it. But the reality is that friendships can be formed at any stage of life, in any setting, with people from all walks of life. It's not about the perfect circumstances, it's about our willingness to step into the discomfort of the unknown, to be open to new possibilities, and to show up as we are. Sometimes stepping out means taking a chance on a friendship, even if we're unsure of the outcome. It means saying yes to an invitation, even when we feel nervous or unsure, or reaching out to someone even if we don't know how they'll respond. It's about putting ourselves out there even when the outcome is uncertain, because the only way to build the connections we seek is to risk the possibility of discomfort and disappointment. The more we practice taking these small risks, the more we will find that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, and that we are worthy of the friendships we desire. This expanded version delves deeper into the act of stepping out, the discomfort of vulnerability, and how to face the fears and limiting beliefs that can hold us back from connecting with others. Let me know if you'd like further changes. In a world that often equates popularity with success, we can easily fall into the trap of thinking that more friends equals a better, more fulfilling life. We may compare ourselves to others who seem to have large, bustling social circles and wonder why we don't have the same. We might even feel a sense of inadequacy or loneliness if we don't have a wide array of friends. But the true value of friendships lies not in their quantity, but in their quality. Having a large group of friends may seem appealing, but it is the depth of our connections that ultimately brings us fulfillment, joy, and a sense of belonging. The pressure to maintain many friendships can be exhausting and ironically can lead to a sense of isolation. When we spread ourselves too thin, trying to be everything to everyone, we end up giving only a fraction of ourselves to each relationship, leaving little energy for the kind of deep, meaningful connections that truly nourish us. It's easy to fall into the trap of accumulating friends as a way to feel validated or to avoid feeling alone, but in doing so, we may miss out on the richness of authentic connection. The truth is, genuine friendship is not about the number of people you know, but about the quality of the relationships you nurture. In order to form deep, lasting friendships, we need to make the conscious choice to invest our time and energy into relationships that matter. This means being intentional about the people we allow into our lives and the way we show up for them. A handful of true, loyal friends who know us inside and out is worth far more than 100 acquaintances who only know a fragment of who we are. It's about the kind of friendship that isn't based on surface-level interactions or shared interests, but on mutual trust, respect, and emotional intimacy. These are the relationships where you can show up as your full, authentic self without fear of judgment or rejection. These are the relationships where you don't have to explain yourself because the connection is so strong that words are often unnecessary. In a world that glorifies busyness and the constant pursuit of social validation, we may find ourselves seeking out friendships for the wrong reasons, whether it's to gain status, to be seen at certain events, or to avoid feeling lonely. But real friendships are not transactional. They are built on a foundation of mutual understanding, shared values, and the willingness to show up for each other through thick and thin. It's not about having the most friends, it's about having friends who are there for you when it matters most. A true friend is someone who sees you at your best and your worst and chooses to stay. They are the ones who listen without judgment, support you without expectation, and offer you a safe space to be yourself. These kinds of relationships take time, effort, and vulnerability to cultivate, and they are the ones that provide the most reward. When we focus on quality over quantity, we also learn to honor and respect our own boundaries. We stop overcommitting to every social event or obligation and start prioritizing relationships that truly serve us and bring us joy. We become more selective about where we invest our time and energy, recognizing that deep, meaningful friendships require attention and care. It's not about being available to everyone, but about being available to the people who truly matter, the ones who add value to our lives and whom we want to invest in. This shift in focus allows us to be more present, more engaged, and more supportive in the relationships that matter most. Moreover, focusing on quality over quantity encourages us to appreciate the friends we already have. It's easy to overlook the depth of the relationships right in front of us when we're constantly searching for more. But if we take the time to nurture the connections that already exist, we can discover the richness and beauty in those relationships. Sometimes we already have the friendships we need, we just need to put more energy into deepening them. Whether it's spending more time with a few close friends or having more meaningful conversations, it's in these moments of true connection that we feel seen, understood, and supported. The quality of our friendships also shapes the quality of our lives. We rise by lifting each other up, and the friends who walk with us through life are the ones who help us become the best versions of ourselves. These are the friends who challenge us to grow, who encourage us to be better, and who celebrate us when we succeed. They are the ones who are there during the tough times, providing comfort and perspective when things feel impossible. These are the friendships that are worth investing in and cultivating, as they provide the emotional support, love, and connection that enrich our lives in ways that no number of shallow friendships ever could.